This is Speak My Word Ministries, Travis Zimmerman. The Daily Pulse today is some post-election reflections based on, the election that occurred over a week ago. And many were saying before the election, this is an election of historic proportions. And it very well may have been. But I want to share with you from a biblical perspective the long view, essentially. And here's the background. Solomon was King David's son. He built the temple. There was a time of unprecedented peace, but Solomon, even in his great wisdom that God gave him, and was conditioned, God would continue to bless him and Israel if they continued to follow God. And Solomon, as he got older, tempted by his 300 wives and 700 concubines, 1,000 women tempted, he moved away from God. God said, essentially, I'm not going to punish you, I'm going to punish your sons. So these two sons who were later to succeed him, Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Rehoboam went south in Jerusalem and established himself there with the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin. Meanwhile, Jeroboam went north and he took 10 tribes up and set up capitals there. And to set themselves apart from the kingdom of Judah, where it was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph, Jeroboam established calf worship. He wanted to, because he recognized if they continued to worship God, they would eventually go back down to Jerusalem. And this was so persistent, this calf worship, that it never disappeared until, and that's where I'm going with this, until they were wiped away. So in this period after the United Kingdom, they call it the divided kingdom, in the south, let me start with the north. In the north, there were 19 kings over the period from 930 BC to 722 BC when the Assyrians also ultimately came in and swept them all away and swept away calf worship accordingly. There were 19 kings that ruled in that time, and that's essentially 200 years. 19 kings in 200 years who absolutely did not follow God, did not follow God at all. And that's really sobering to consider, for that many years, over 200 years. Similarly, in the south, there were 20 kings, but by and large, and from 930 BC to about 586 BC, when King Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians came in and swept them away, some of those kings followed God, but most of them didn't. Most of the 20 didn't. So here you had a period of close to 40 kings, 39 kings, most of who weren't following God, between 200 and nearly 345, 350 years later, who weren't following God. So regardless if your candidate got in or didn't, or you're just disenfranchised by the entire process, take heart. Take heart. God knows these things. God knows the hearts of men. God knows where He's taking us. And there's a comfort that, yes, we are to be involved politically. We as Christians are not to turn be like ostriches and put our heads in the ground and not ignore what's going on. That's not a Christian worldview and that view, and that's not what being involved in the world and being salt and light, as Jesus would say. We need to stay involved in the political process, understanding what's going on around, so we can pray, we can participate, and we can be relevant. We're ultimately relevant to Jesus. But again, for those who have the angst of the election, remember this: Jesus is in charge always. He will see us through anything. In your name, Father. Amen.